In these uncertain economic times, it's easy to be worried about protecting your wealth, your hard-earned savings, and your family's financial future. Plunging interest rates, the devaluating dollar, and political unrest constantly threaten what you have worked hard to earn and all that you own. That's why now it's more important than ever to protect your assets and have the money you need to make your dreams come true. Welcome to the Global Wealth Fortress Report with successful global entrepreneur and wealth preservation expert Joel Nagel. Joel's helped thousands of people just like you protect what you have so that you can make even more and make your every dream come true. So, sit back and enjoy Joel Nagel's offshore expert advice on how you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Global Wealth Fortress Report. My name is Joel Nagel. I'm coming to you today live from the Best Western Resort on Ambergris Caye, Belize. And I'm here with my very longest and dearest friend, Mike Cobb, who's CEO of ECI Development, the company that has built this resort. Mike's been involved in many things, and we're going to jump in and talk about those things that you've been involved with over the last 25 or 30 years, Mike. But, I thought maybe it would be interesting to start with your personal story. Can you tell us how you ended up in this beautiful paradise?
Absolutely. Good to be here. Nice to hang out with you here in Belize and talk a little bit about how we got started here. I actually came to Belize on my very first trip in 1993 at your invitation, actually. I remember I was in the computer business outside of Washington, D.C., and I was sitting at my desk. It was a Tuesday. I get this phone call from my old college buddy, Joel Nagel, and he says, "Hey, Cobster, what are you doing this weekend?" And I said, "I don't know, why?" He goes, "You want to go to Belize?" I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then I'm kind of like scratching my head like, where's Belize? Anyway.
Yeah, like a lot of people, I think when, at least in our age demographics, we learned it as British Honduras in school.
Yes, we did.
Didn't actually become Belize until 1981, and by then you'd probably already had your geography class.
I was 1 year away from, I guess I would have been junior year of high school.
There you go.
I probably should have learned it in high school, but anyway. But no, it was just a fun trip. You invited me down. You had some work to do, some asset protection work for some physicians, and for me it was just a fun, long weekend. And the thing that really struck me and got me so excited about Belize was as soon as I got off the plane here on this little island of Ambergris Caye, I just said to myself, "Holy smokes, this is probably what Key West was like 50 years ago." And if that was the case, oh my gosh, just start thinking about this time machine opportunity, sort of like Back to the Future, right? If you know what's going to happen, right, you can really make some very incredible investment decisions. And so, I don't know, a couple months later, you were coming back. I came back with you, and we bought some condos here on Ambergris Caye, and that really was the start of my experience here, and then it rolled into several businesses over time. But it was a vacation. It was a vacation and seeing opportunity.
And again, just to stay on the personal front for a few more minutes, after the business opportunities presented themselves, you and your new wife at the time, now you've married,
26 years.
20, you better get that right. So at the time, Carol, you had just gotten married, and the opportunity presented itself where you actually moved here.
Yeah.
So I know some of our viewers might be contemplating moving here. Talk a little bit about what it was like when you moved here 25 years ago. Maybe compare and contrast that with now, what it's like living here in San Pedro.
Yeah, very different. We moved here in September of 1998. We lived here through February of 99, so about 6 months. And every street on the island was sand. There were no paved streets. There were a couple grocery stores. There might have been 30 resorts on the whole island, and the largest resort was a place called Ramon's with 60 rooms. So a very, very quaint, diving, niche destination, and almost no families, very few women, mostly men, fishermen, divers. And now, 25 years later, there are probably 50, 75 resorts. There's one, we have a branded Best Western. There's one Hilton property. There are 2 Marriotts under construction, one of which is ours that's under development. So we're just now seeing the transition into a branded hotel destination. And that's really a transformative moment for Ambergris Caye, but also for the country of Belize. It's a big deal for the country and a big opportunity for folks looking to get involved here.
Yeah, and I think maybe if you're willing, over the next few days, maybe we could visit on some of these business issues and some of the investment options. But again, specifically to living here, describe what it would be like for somebody that said, hey, I like seeing what's going on in Belize. What would it actually be like to move there and live there? Just give a quick couple thoughts about that.
You know what? 25 years ago, it was a challenge to live here. My wife and I, we really couldn't find a peer set that we enjoyed spending time with. There were almost no expats, a very small professional class of folks, and we had people we could see and associate with, but we didn't really find a peer set. Today, that's very different. I'm guessing that there are probably 10,000 expats living on the island. There's a professional class, everything from doctors to developers to hotel owners, veterinarians, shop owners. I mean, it really has transformed in a way that makes it a fun place to live. And we've seen, again, it go from maybe a few hundred expats to many thousand expats at this point who call Ambergris Caye home.
Great. Well, like I said, I think we're going to be here for another 4 or 5 days together. So I'm going to invite Mike to come back. A few other folks that live here and work here, I'm going to invite them in to be part of the program for the next few days. I think it's really interesting for our viewers to get a firsthand experience for what it's like to really live here and work here. So until next time, I want to thank you for joining me and my special guest, Mike Cobb. Until our next episode, I want to wish you health, I want to wish you happiness, and I want to wish you a wealth that can't be taken or destroyed by others. See you next time. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining Joel Nagel and the Global Wealth Fortress Report, a whole new approach to asset protection and estate planning, so that now you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Global Wealth Fortress Report. I'm Joel Nagel. I'm coming to you today from the Grand Bayman Resort on Ambergris Caye, Belize, uh, just outside of the town of San Pedro. It's really a beautiful resort. I'm very happy to be spending a little time here. As I mentioned yesterday, I have to go through a quarantine. It's not the end of the world. You can see I'm hanging out at this beautiful resort. However, I just learned today that the Prime Minister has eliminated the quarantine. I haven't read the changes in the rule yet. I'm not sure who all it applies to. So for the time being, I'm still here at the Grand Bayman Resort, and literally it has everything you want, from wonderful food and nice people and tennis and swimming and everything. So, I'm not wanting for anything, but it'll be kind of nice if I learn that I really am. The quarantine has ended a bit early. I mentioned that I flew over here from Austria, went from Austria through Germany to the States, got a coronavirus test, and then came down here. It really was a relatively uneventful trip. I actually wish I had broadcast one of these episodes on the plane, because again, it was pretty empty. But unfortunately, my computer battery was dead when I boarded the plane. So, anyways, here we are. I mentioned in the program yesterday I was going to be talking about all things Belize this week. And to keep that promise, I want to start by talking about Belize's very popular, what's called the QRP, or Qualified Retired Person Program. Uh, QRP is really just an easy visa option for people who want to spend time here. It's not, the requirements are pretty simple and straightforward. You have to be at least 45 years old. You have to be able to show that you have at least $2,000 a month of income, whether it's pension income, Social Security, investment income, whatever it is. You can't say, "Oh, I want to come to Belize and open a bar and I'll make $2,000 a month doing that." You have to be able to show that you're bringing the money in with you. It's not really designed to give people the ability to come here and work, although nothing prohibits you from working remotely, online. Have a lot of clients that are moving down here and working remotely back in Chicago or Los Angeles or Houston or wherever. You have great internet. The cost of living here is quite low, particularly for a Caribbean island. If you go into the mainland, it's even lower. I think it compares well with the rest of Central America. Ambergris Caye is a little bit more expensive because it is an island, but it compares very well with the other Caribbean islands. So if you compare this place to, say, Cayman or BVI or even the U.S. Virgin Islands, places like that, you'll be amazed. You'll find it to be very inexpensive. If you're thinking in terms of, backpacking around Honduras and, staying for $7 a night in a little, lodge somewhere, you're not really going to find that on the island, but you will find that on the mainland. Even some of the other islands, Key Cocker, for example, has a youth hostel. There are places that are very expensive. The north and the west of the country, you have a little bit higher altitude. When you get on the Mexican border and out towards the Guatemalan border, there's what's called the Pine Ridge. A lot of people like that the climate is very temperate and the cost of living there is even lower. And some people like to be living in Belize because it's English speaking, English common law, it's very familiar. But they also like being close to Mexico and Guatemala because they can easily go across the border. Some things are even cheaper there. Mexico, for example, has Walmarts and Sam's Clubs and things like that that Belize doesn't really have. So the Belize QRP program has been around now about 20 years. My law firm helped really implement the program when it first started. We probably process more QRP applications than virtually any other firm out there. I'm sure there's others. I don't have the statistical numbers, but I know that we process a lot. And really, if we can show that you're in good health, you don't have any criminal background, and you have $2,000 a month income, you qualify. You don't have to make a big investment like you do in other countries. Now, one drawback of the QRP, it gives you a equivalent of a green card. It allows you to come here, spend as much time as you want. You're not subject in any way to Belize taxation. A lot of people like that. It allows you to import cars and boats and furniture and things like that completely duty free. That's also another perk. But one of the drawbacks is the QRP itself does not ever lead to citizenship. It's strictly a program that is designed to give you residence. So for most people, that's enough. They just want the ability to live here. They enjoy coming and spending the winter, or I have clients that live here full time now, or with the QRP, you can come and go really as you want. It's been a handy thing to have, again, when people start talking about lockdowns and who can travel and who can't travel. If you have a QRP status, you are, for all intents and purposes, considered to be a Belize resident, and they're not going to stop you from coming in regardless of the circumstances. So again, the one drawback is it never leads to citizenship. So getting a second passport, being able to vote, things like that are important to you. The QRP would not be the right way to go about it for you. Tomorrow, I'll pick up the theme on other kinds of residency. We'll talk about standard residency. There's also an investor visa program. If you're able to invest $250,000, we'll pick up there tomorrow. Some of those programs do, over time, lead to citizenship. But for now, I think most people, the QRP is an excellent way to come to Belize. It's an excellent way to experience what it's like to really live here without making a big investment. Gives you the freedom to come and go as you want. The requirements are pretty nominal and straightforward. So I hope that you found this program on the QRP to be interesting. There is a compendium article that goes into a little bit more detail about the QRP program itself. If you check down below and check out the library of articles that you can access in this podcast, look for the one that says Belize QRP. Okay, so on that note, I want to thank you for joining me today. I want to wish you health, I want to wish you happiness, and I want to wish you a wealth that can't be taken away by others. Until next time, take care.